Hello students, welcome to another class of Yangchen Tawang Indian Freedom Movements Socio-Religious Reform Movements. Today we will discuss about the very important socio-religious reform movements and the people who were associated with those movements during our freedom struggle. We will start with Raja Rammohn Roy and the Brahmo Samaj. Raja Rammohn Roy is known as the father of modern India. He is also known as the first modern man in India, and he is also known as father of Indian Renaissance. Let us discuss something about his beliefs. He believed in monotheism and he opposed idol worship. He established the Atmiya Sabha in Calcutta in 1815 in order to propagate monotheism and to fight against the evil customs and practices in Hinduism. In 1821, he started a paper called the Samvad Kaumudi, and in 1822 he started Miratul Akhbar, which was the first journal in Persian language. In the same year, Raja Rammohn Roy and Dwarkanath Tagore jointly started a newspaper called the Bangodatto. In 1825 he started the Vedanta College at Calcutta, and in 1828 he founded the Brahmo Sabha, which was later named as the Brahmo Samaj by Devendranath Tagore in 1845. Against the Brahmo Sabha, Orthodox Hindus led by Raja Radhakant Dev started the Dharma Sabha. In 1829, this is very important, in 1829 December 4th, Sati was abolished by Governor General William Bentinck. And in 1831, Raja Rammohn Roy went to England to argue the case of Akbar II, who was the Mughal emperor during that time, before the Board of Control of East India Company. The Mughal Emperor Akbar Shah II gave Raja Rammohn Roy the title of Raja. And after the death of Raja Rammohn Roy, Brahmo Samaj was divided into several sects. One was Adi Brahmo Samaj, which was led by Devendranath Tagore, and Bharatiya Brahmo Samaj, led by Keshav Chandra Sen. These were started in 1866. And the Sadharan Brahmo Samaj was started by Ananda Mohan Bose in 1878. Devendranath Tagore was the founder of Tattva Bodhini Sabha in Calcutta in 1839. Keshav Chandra Sen started a paper called Indian Mirror in 1861. And Brahmo Samaj reached outside Bengal under Keshav Chandra Sen. Surendranath Banerjee was the first Indian to take up the political activity on all India basis, and Raja Rammohn Roy wrote a book which is known as Precepts to Jesus, and he also wrote a book which is known as Tuhfat ul Muvahidin, or Gift to Monotheists. These two books were written by Raja Rammohn Roy, you have to remember. The second socio-religious reform organization was the Prarthana Samaj, which was founded in 1867 in Bombay by Dr. Atmaram Pandurang. It was considered as an offshoot or a side branch of the Brahmo Samaj itself. It was later joined by M.G. Ranade and R.G. Bhandarkar. Next, we will come to the Arya Samaj. The Arya Samaj was founded by Swami Dayanand Saraswati in 1875. He considered Vedas as eternal and infallible, and his slogan, which was most popular, was "Go back to the Vedas." Dayanand Saraswati in 1824 to 1883, his lifespan was from 1824 to 1883. He was a sannyasi from Gujarat, and he was the first to teach militant Hinduism and aggressive reformed Hinduism. Dayanand was known in his early life as Mool Shankar, and he founded the Arya Samaj in Bombay in 1875. And he is also known as the Luther of Hinduism. He was the first to use the terms Swarajya, Swabhasha and Swadharma. He was the first to consider Hindi as the national language of India. he started the Suddhi movement to reconvert the Hinduism who were converted to other religions. His book Satyarth Prakash is a commentary on the Vedas. A very important step that he took was the formation of the Dayanand Anglo-Vedic College in 1866, which is also known as the DAV group of colleges, which is still going on in various parts of India. Just like Raja Rammohn Roy started Samvad Kaumudi and Bangodatto as newspapers, so in the same way, Swami Dayanand Saraswati also started a newspaper which was known as Arya Prakash. Next, we'll come to another very important socio reform organization which is known as the Ramakrishna Mission. Ramakrishna Mission, the name has been taken from Sri Ramakrishna Paramhans, who was born in Hooghly district of Bengal. His early name was Shuddhidharma Gangadhar Chatterjee. He was a priest in the Dakshineshwar Kali temple, and so he is also known as the saint of Dakshineshwar. His very famous disciple was Ramakrishna was Sri Vivekananda. The famous achievements of Vivekananda was that he attended the Parliament of Religions at Chicago in 1893, September 11th. He was invited to the Congress of the History of Religions at Paris in 1900. It was Swami Vivekananda who founded the Ramakrishna Mission on 1st May 1897. 1899, this mutt or the center of the mission was shifted to Belur. He started two papers, which was called the Prabodh Bharat in English and Udbodhan in Bengali, which was a fortnightly. He is also known as the Cyclonic Hindu or the Patriot Saint of India. In 1898, Sister Nivedita, who was an Irish lady, was initiated to Brahmacharya by Swami Vivekananda. The next important social reform organization is the Theosophical Society. The Theosophical Society was formed by Madame Blavatsky and Colonel H.S. Olcott in New York in 1875. In 1882, it shifted its headquarters to Adyar near Madras. Its philosophy was inspired by the Hindu Upanishads. Dr. Annie Besant, who was a prominent player in the Indian freedom movement, was also a part of the Theosophical Society of India. In 1898, Dr. Annie Besant started the Central Hindu School at Banaras, which became later the Banaras Hindu University (BHU) under Sri Madan Mohan Malviya in 1916. So I'll repeat it. This Banaras Hindu University was started by Dr. Annie Besant in 1898 as a Central Hindu School, which later on became the Banaras Hindu University in 1916. Dr. Annie Besant was the first woman to become the president of Indian National Congress in 1917. Another important achievement of her was that she started the Home Rule League with the cooperation of Bal Gangadhar Tilak in 1916, and the first president of the Home Rule League was Dadabhai Nauroji. Some important questions which are asked are regarding the Young Bengal movement. The Young Bengal movement was started by Henry Vivian Delosio. So this question comes like, who started the Young Bengal movement? So answer will be Henry Vivian Delosio. In 1828, he also started the Academic Association. We'll come to some of the very important social reformers of India during that time. We'll start with Jyotiba Phule, who belonged to Maharashtra, and he struggled against the upper caste domination and Brahmanical supremacy throughout his life, and he formed the Satyashodak Samaj in 1873. The important book that he wrote was named Gulamgiri in 1872, which exposed the conditions of the backward castes. He pioneered the widow remarriage movement in Maharashtra and worked for the education of women. We'll come to the next person, N.M. Joshi, who was the founder of the Social Service League at Bombay in 1911. He also founded the All India Trade Union Congress in 1920 at Bombay. Another social reformer from South India was Veerasalingam Pantulu, who lived in the second half of the 19th century. He was the founder of the Rajamundry Social Reform Association in 1878, whose principal objective was the promotion of widow remarriage. In this same way that in North India and South India, in the Hindu community, social reform movements were continuing, in the very same way, in the Muslim community also, many reform movements had started during this time. The first and foremost among them was the Aligarh movement, which was started by Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, whose important journal, which was known as the Tahzib-ul-Akhlaq, advocated a rational approach towards religion. He was also the founder of the Muhammadan Literary Society in Calcutta in 1863. Another of his main important achievements was the foundation laid by him of the Aligarh Muhammadan Anglo-Oriental College, which was later named as the Aligarh Muslim University AMU in 1875. In 1866, Syed Ahmed Khan founded the Muslim Educational Conference also. We shall come to some of the Sikh reform movements. In 1873, the Singh Sabha movement was founded at Amritsar. The Akali movement was also started for Sikh reform. The Kuka movement was started with the aim of Sikh reform and restoration of Sikh sovereignty in Punjab by driving the British away. The Kuka movement was founded by Bhagat Jawahar Mal, popularly known as the Siah Sahab of the 19th century. Kukas recognized Guru Gobind Singh as the only true Guru of the Sikhs. Some other reformers were Professor Dr. D.K. Karve, who took the cause of widow remarriage, started the Indian Women University in Bombay in 1916. This question might come that who started the Indian Women University for the first time? The answer will be D.K. Karve. Another important social reformer was B.M. Malabari, who started a crusade against child marriage, and his efforts were crowned by the enactment of the Age Consent Act in 1891. So these are some of the very important social reform movements which had started during that time, and many questions are coming from these areas. Next we'll come to 1857, which is very important because the Sepoy Mutiny, or the first Indian freedom movement, which started in 1857, took place during the period of Lord Canning in 1857. The centers and leaders of the revolt were from Lucknow, Begum Hazrat Mahal, from Kanpur, Nana Sahib, from Delhi, General Bakht Khan, from Bihar, Kunwar Singh, from Jhansi, Rani Lakshmi Bai, from Faridabad, Maulvi Ahmadullah, from Bareilly, Khan Bahadur. The revolt of 1857 ended in failure, but it promoted the spirit of nationalism and patriotism. The 19th Native Infantry of Behrampur, which refused to use the greased cartridge and the Enfield rifle, started mutiny in February 26, 1857. The first shot was fired on March 29 by Mangal Pandey of Balia, UP, of the 14th Bengal Infantry at Barakpur in Bengal. So this question often comes that who fired the first shot? It was shot by Mangal Pandey, who belonged to UP, and he was a part of the 14th Bengal Infantry at Barakpur. For this act of treason, Mangal Pandey was hanged to death on 29 March 1857. May 10th, 1857 witnessed the real mutiny at Meerut, then in Delhi on 11th May. Some of the important topics from this part are: who was the first British to lose his life? It was Colonel Finnis, and he lost his life in Meerut. The capture of Delhi and the proclamation of Bahadur Shah as the emperor of Hindustan gave a positive political meaning to the revolt. Bahadur Shah was the Mughal emperor during that time, and he had literally given all the reins of the country to the East India Company. But during the revolt, he was reinstated as the formal emperor of Hindustan. Sometimes the question is asked, what is the immediate cause for the revolt of 1857? And the most immediate cause was the introduction of the greased cartridges. The cartridges were used in the Enfield rifles, and it was said and it was rumored that these cartridges had the fat of pig and cows laden on it, and the soldiers had to bite off the cartridges with their mouth. So since the Hindus will not consume beef and the Muslims will not consume pork, so it had started a lot of anger and resentment among the soldiers. The educated middle class section of the Indian population also did not support the revolt of 1857, and they adopted a middle path during this movement, which is also one of the reasons for the failure of the movement. As a result of the revolt of 1857, the then Governor General, the Lord Canning, was appointed as the Viceroy of India. After the revolt of 1857 was quelled, the Governor General, Lord Canning, was appointed as the Viceroy of India. And on November 1st, 1858, a proclamation was made by the Queen of England to the people of India that from now on the reins of the country, the administration of the country, was to be taken up by the Queen, and the East India Company was no longer the authority in India. The administration of India would be directly coming under the England. So during this revolt, the importance of women was also seen. The best and the bravest military leader of the revolt said Sir Hugh Ross about the Rani of Jhansi. The original name of Rani of Jhansi was Manikarnika. The administration of Indian civil service officers started as a result of the Queen's proclamation, and the revolt was completely crushed in 1858. Benjamin Disraeli, he described the revolt as the national rising, and V.D. Savarkar in his book First War of Independence called it the First War of Independence. 1857 is also a book written by Surendranath Sen. So these are some important questions. Who wrote the First War of Independence by V.D. Savarkar, and who wrote 1857? Surendranath Sen. So today we will wind up here. Because of some technical issues, the class has been cut short, but from the next class we will take up in a better way, in a lengthy way. Please go through whatever I have taught, and whatever doubts you can say in the comment section in our group. Thank you very much. We'll see you again. Bye bye.